What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Canelo Alvarez. Saul Canelo Alvarez had this to say about Gennady Golovkin. He says, "I am the one to beat. I'm the one everyone wants to face. Ever since Golovkin fought me, what has he done? He didn't do anything. What's going to happen in the third fight? I'm going to beat him again. I'm going to knock him out." Those are the words of Canelo Alvarez. Now, when I first started reading this, I thought to myself, okay, yeah, he's kind of sounding a little arrogant, but then, I mean, it is true. I can't deny it. It's true. He is the one to beat in the middleweight division. He's the guy that everyone wants to face. He's the cash cow. He's the highest paid boxer in the sport today. And when Golovkin did lose to him by a real narrow margin or whatever, however you called it, right? What did he do to give himself confidence? What did he do to prepare for the struggle that he had with Derevyanchenko? What did he do? He didn't do anything. He avoided fighters that he should have fought. He should have fought Demetrius Andrade. He could have easily had made that fight, could have been easier made. He didn't want to fight Jacobs again. He didn't want to fight Jermall Charlo. Him and Jermall Charlo were fighting over the same cherry pick, Steve Rolls. Golovkin won, but you fought Steve Rolls, and Steve Rolls showed him that Steve Rolls is the reason why Golovkin got beat the way he was beaten. I'm going to tell you why. Because Steve Rolls fighting him could not prepare you for anything to come. Okay? Neither did Vanes Martirosyan or Marco Antonio Rubio. But back when you had Marco Antonio Rubio back in the day, at least he was looking or supposedly looking for the top guys or for certain fighters. You know? But after the Canelo fight, he could have fought one of those guys. He could have beaten one of those guys. That would have put him right back where he needs to be. So then we can have another comparison that, hey, well, at least Golovkin would have won another route, okay? That elevated him to a certain point from where he was. Sure, he had a close fight with Canelo Alvarez, but life goes on, okay? Then you lost your belt to Derevyanchenko due to negligence with Canelo Alvarez. Now you're fighting Derevyanchenko, and he gave you the fight of your life. So it's crazy, you know. And to counterpunch the other part of what Canelo said, I have to agree with. What do you think is going to happen in a trilogy, in a rubber match? He's going to get beat, like Canelo said, beat again. But this time he will really be beaten. Why? Because now people know about Golovkin. Golovkin was, in a sense, exposed. He was exposed. You know, I knew he didn't like body punching. I knew he wasn't going to take solid punches from harder punchers like Lemieux and Stevens, right? He wasn't going to take those. He took a good left hook from Stevens. He didn't like it, but he's a tough guy. He does have a chin. He is strong. He does have boxing ability. But what we saw, based on what we saw that night, Canelo would stop him this time. But if you notice, Canelo fought him a different way from the first time. He didn't do terribly bad the first time. He just used a different game plan, you know? And Golovkin couldn't do any of those angle down punches, those, you know, what jug handle style left hooks he was throwing. He couldn't even land them because Canelo had what you call head movement, upper body movement, right? And Canelo showed him that, hey, I can take your punch. When he hit Canelo, and Canelo was like, nope, nope. When he did that, when he caught Canelo flush upside the head, he caught him like right here. He showed him, I'm not folding like, like these others, right? So that was enlightening. But he says he's going to knock him out. He could stop Golovkin. He could stop Golovkin because Golovkin is a guy now. I think he's aging. I think that, you know, the wear and tear that he's accumulated over these last couple years, the fights that he wanted for so long that he couldn't get, now he's getting them. But then some of them he's turning down. Look, if I'm Golovkin, if I'm Gennady Golovkin, I wouldn't be the guy. I would still be hungry in a sense. But it seems like to me, once he got that Canelo fight and he started fighting Canelo, he became less hungry. You know, remember this guy, the same guy that wanted to fight Stern, Dmitry Pitrog, that's the guy that knocked out Daniel Jacobs and retired early with 20-0 and 15 knockouts. He wanted to fight him. He wanted to fight Sergio Martinez. He wanted to fight a lot of these guys that he couldn't get those fights from. So he changed promotional companies. And when he did that, he was getting a little success. But then by that time, they seen his record and they seen what he was doing to these fighters. No other fighter that was supposed to be on the level, like back then, you had Peter Quillen, you had Andy Lee. Who else you had back in those days? Chris Eubank, right? Those guys didn't really want any part of Golovkin. But the sad thing about it is, maybe it was his age. You know, maybe the age is catching up with him a little bit. You know, but at this point, if Golovkin is on the downcline, I think Canelo's right. I have to agree with him 100% because, you know, again, based on what we saw, if Golovkin fights him, he'll die hard, but he will eventually be stopped. If Canelo decides to work the body like he did with Beefy Smith, okay, he'll eventually stop Golovkin because now they know, okay, this guy he really can be harmed to the body. You know, it's just Derevyanchenko said, hey, balls to the wall. Let's go downstairs. You know, let me be brave enough to chop down the tree chopper, right? But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Canelo Alvarez's statements. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.